Welcome back, Story Hour friends. We're so glad you're back this week for the next stop on our virtual trip around the world. We hope you're all wearing green because this week we are going to an island on the western edge of Europe, Ireland. We'll do some colorful chemistry with our friend Professor Peculiar. Then we'll hear a story called Many Leprechauns, written by Stephen Krensky and illustrated by Dan Andreasen. Ireland is flat with some mountains around the coast. Its mild, moist weather and large annual rainfall help make Irish soil the perfect spot to grow green grasses and trees. Some people call Ireland the Emerald Isle because of how green it is. Our visit to Ireland falls at a time of celebration. March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick brought Christianity to Ireland about 1,600 years ago. The Irish are known for their great music and creative storytelling. You may have heard of a magical being from Irish stories, a leprechaun. Some think he hides a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Others say he will give you wishes if you catch him. Be careful. A leprechaun is also known to be mischievous.
Top of the morning to you, Story Hour travelers. We're here in the Emerald Isle today. Isn't it beautiful? The Emerald Isle is a wonderful, magical place with shillelaghs, the Blarney Stone, and of course, leprechauns.
And don't forget the most important ones too.
Did I leave out a couple things?
Yes, you did. You have the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion and the Tin Man without a heart and Dorothy.
Oh my, I'm afraid you're confusing.
And Toto too.
The Emerald Isle with the Emerald City from The Wizard of Oz. You know,
my apologies.
I mentioned leprechauns while we're touring Ireland today, well, or actually the entire week. We may see a leprechaun, and if we're clever enough to catch one, that little green fairy, he is required to give us 1, 2, 3 wishes.
3 wishes?
Or a gold coin.
Well, I would like to go to the end of the rainbow and get the whole pot of gold.
A whole pot? Would you share it with us?
Of course.
Oh my. Since you mentioned rainbows, I see you've got some stuff out here.
Oh, I'm just playing around. I love to play with the colors. I love colors. And I have 2 colors, and I'm going to make 1 color out of the 2 colors.
Well, you're kind of magical too, Professor Peculiar.
Well, I never thought about it, but I guess I am.
Yes, you
But it's
are.
all science. We deal with the facts.
Facts. Okay. Well, what do you have here?
I have some blue baking soda, and you will not be able to find this in the store, I don't think. I had to make up a special blue baking soda. Baking soda, baking soda.
I see you're adding quite a bit of it.
Oh, I like this job because I get to do fun things. And then I'm going to pour in my yellow vinegar.
Yellow vinegar.
Ready?
What
1, 2, 3.
color do you think we'll
Whoa! Whoa! I'll have a little bit of that. And we make green.
Well, how appropriate for being in a country that's famous for green things.
It's almost like the Emerald City.
Almost like it. You've got to get that Wizard of Oz thing out of your head.
But it's the Emerald Isle.
The Emerald Isle. Oh, you know, this was lots of fun. It's so magical. You made...
Don't drink that.
2 colors, or 1 color out of 2.
Yes.
Blue and yellow. My goodness.
It was
Professor
fun.
Peculiar, you are magical. I hope we see some more magical things here in the Emerald Isle.
I think if we keep looking, we will find some.
Ireland.
Yes, yes. Goodbye, Story Hour kids.
Goodbye, Story Hour travelers. We'll see you again.
Too Many Leprechauns, or How That Pot of Gold Got to the End of the Rainbow by Stephen Krensky. Finn O'Finnegan looked like a rogue and walked like a rascal, so it was widely thought that he was at least one or the other, and his shadow, which followed him closely and knew all of his secrets, might have said that he was both. But when Finn returned home to Dingle after a year in Dublin, he was only looking to rest his feet and grow fat on his mother's soda bread. The village looked much as he had left it, the stone walls a bit wobbly, the house leaning into the wind, and yet something was clearly amiss. At his own house, Finn was surprised to find his mother cleaning up broken dishes with a broom. Mrs. O'Finnegan let out a great yawn. "So here you are, Finn, and it would be glorious to see you if only I could keep my eyes open. But the leprechauns are everywhere, making fairy shoes with that infernal tapping, and none of us have slept in weeks." At that moment, Finn heard a steady tap, tap, tap in the yard. He stepped outside to investigate. In the garden, a leprechaun named Dob was hard at work. Tap, 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 tap. "Good day," said Finn. Dob scowled at him. "It's a busy day, to be sure. The more shoes I make for the fairies, the more gold I get, and nothing is more important than gold." Now Finn had some experience with leprechauns, and he chose his words carefully. "A wise outlook. If I'm not mistaken, though, you have missed a stitch." Dob dropped his hammer. "Missed a stitch?" He wagged a finger at Finn. "Fancy yourself an expert, do you? Come with me." Dob led the way to a second leprechaun named Waddle. He too was making shoes, a dainty pair with silk flowers lining the sides. "What say you to these?" asked Dob. "Has Waddle missed a stitch too?" Finn rubbed his chin. "Well, his shoes are fine, assuming they'll only be worn in the dark." "In the dark?" cried Waddle. "Where no one could see them," Finn explained. Both leprechauns turned a deep shade of red. The next day, Dob dragged Finn to 3 more leprechauns, and to 4 more the day after that. By week's end, Finn had seen shoes of every size and style, and for each fault, flaw, or defect that he mentioned, the angrier the leprechauns became. "Leprechauns are sensitive," Finn observed to his mother. "And greedy, too," she added, "but don't put my heart crosswise by taking too many chances." There was a knock at the door from Dob. "You're just in time for tea," said Finn. Dob snorted. "It's not tea I'm after, it's you. Follow me." Dob led the way to a field where all of the leprechauns stood waiting. As Finn approached, they moved back slowly to reveal a great pile of gold. "We hardly could have gained all this," said Dob, "if our shoes were not the finest of their kind." "Impressive," said Finn. He could see that the leprechauns loved their gold dearly, so dearly that it might just be their undoing. "Perhaps," Finn went on, "if I saw all your shoes together, I might change my mind." Yes, yes, the leprechauns agreed. They were sure that would make all the difference. "Tomorrow morning we will bring the shoes to the village square," they promised. Finn nodded. "I'll be counting on it," he said. A gray dawn greeted the leprechauns as they arrived with their carts, barrows, sacks, and bundles. The shoes were unpacked and laid out with care. Soon everything was ready. But while the leprechauns were there and the shoes were there, Finn was not. The leprechauns waited and waited. The sky cleared before Finn finally appeared. "I'm sorry I'm late," he said, although he didn't seem sorry at all. Finn marched up and down the street. At some shoes, he stopped to point in astonishment. Ooh. At others, he simply clapped in delight. A very impressive sight, he said finally. I can see why you were proud of your treasure. Dob frowned. We're proud, he repeated. Are we not still proud of our gold? Well, you could be, said Finn, if your gold hadn't suddenly disappeared. The leprechauns turned pale. Disappeared? Such a thing was beyond imagining. Still, it might be best to make sure. Empty. They found the field empty. It must be here somewhere, Dob insisted. The leprechauns looked everywhere, behind hedges, under rocks, even in the trees. All night and into the dawn they searched through Dingle, their lanterns flickering like fireflies in the darkness. But it did them no good. All of their fairy gold, every last coin and nugget, was gone. In the morning, when the mist still lay heavy on the air, the leprechauns came pounding on Finn's door. What have you done with our gold? Dob demanded. Finn shrugged. All is not lost, only safely tucked away. I'll make you a bargain. If you promise to leave Dingle and never trouble us again, I'll return your gold. It pained the leprechauns to admit defeat, but not as much as it would have hurt them to lose their gold forever. Reluctantly, they agreed to his terms. Then we'd best be moving along, said Finn, looking up at a clearing sky. He led them back to the empty field. At that moment, the sun came out and a rainbow fell from the sky. And there, where the rainbow met the grass, a great pile of gold suddenly appeared. The leprechauns stamped their feet. You moved our gold to the end of the rainbow, and when the rainbow vanished, so did our gold. Indeed, said Finn, for it is fairy gold, as you told me, and fairies often use rainbows to move their gold about. You tricked us, said Dob. Finn held up a hand. The rainbow is back, and so is your treasure. Take it in peace while the rainbow holds, and remember our bargain. Finn then went home to his mother, who, after a good night's sleep, baked him more loaves of soda bread than even he could eat. As for the leprechauns, they were heard grumbling at times about how Finn had outwitted them. Yet they were secretly pleased as well, for if the truth be told, they've kept their gold at the end of the rainbow ever since. The end.
Be sure to visit our Town of Porter Library to pick up your Story Hour in a bag for this week and some great books as well.